when we talk about development work in India and in South Asia, we take some great names. And along with the list of names of Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, who started some of the earliest experiments in rural development, at least my generation has learned the name of Akhtar Hamid Khan, who is famous for the Kumilla experiment. All of you know about him, and of course, Shoaib Sultan Khan Sahib is his living testimony of how great the man was, and that he's left, behind somebody who's following in his footsteps and doing such great work. I was lucky to know about this great work because in India I used to serve on the board of the Aga Khan Rural Support Program for several years, and in that capacity had learned what is going on here and was extremely supportive of somehow bringing the lessons from there to India. And it's what you heard from both Shoaib Saab as well as from Mr. Sampath. We have been very, very lucky that in India, through the Aga Khan Rural Support Programs in the civil society sector and through the Andhra Pradesh program, which has had different names over the last 15 years, but it's run by a single organization called the Society for Eradication of Poverty. That program has actually not only made a huge difference to the 1.1 crore women that Sampath mentioned, but also has now spread to several other states, including Bihar. So interestingly, my rural development career began in Bihar, and after working there for almost 15 years, when I decided to use a microfinance first approach, I thought, let me go to a state where there's some likelihood of getting some money back. And I shifted to Andhra Pradesh in 1995 and therefore was an eyewitness to the growth of this program. Today, 20 years later, Andhra Pradesh has of course grown enormously, but Bihar is not the Bihar that was pejoratively referred to as the first letter in the Bimaru states of India. Bimaru stood for Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Odisha. And as you know, Bimaru means the 6 states. Well, at least 3 of those states have now overcome the curse of extreme poverty. There's still some way to go. So, the role of community-driven development is absolutely central to this, because several other attempts that have been made, whether they have been infrastructure-led, or whether they've been led by the trickle-down approach, or whether they've been top-down government programs, they have failed to have a widespread impact. Nothing that I've seen in my 35 years of development work career is comparable to the depth and breadth of the impact that programs like the Andhra Pradesh Rural Poverty Program have had, in terms of both scale and in terms of the difference it makes to individual households, to women. I have personally known women जो दिल्ली से बाहर नहीं निकलती थी, पहली बार जब उनसे मिलने जाते थे तो they would just the head would peep out of the house, and it would take several attempts by women colleagues to invite them to come to the mohalla meeting. And I've seen how in a couple of years those women were very articulate in self-help groups, which are like crucibles of learning, of self-confidence, of entrepreneurship. And from those self-help groups to the village organization, where it was a forum beyond the mohalla, required some degree of leadership. And I have actually seen some of those women thumping the table of the block development officer, saying, why is such and such program not been implemented in our village, or that it was so-called implemented but there has been corruption. And so the impact is really quite amazing, and there's no doubt in my mind that community-driven development, particularly with a avant-garde role for women, as we saw in the testimony of Fawzia Bibi, is the right way to go. We don't have to rediscover the wheel and find other approaches. Let's put all our resources, all our institutional support, all the budgetary support behind this one thing that has worked all the way from Gilgit to Guwahati in Assam. So, but having said this, let me also remind ourselves that we are in the 21st century. And I want to use the rest of the few minutes that I have with you in this speech to talk about how the community-driven development approach can be fine-tuned to some of the demands and the challenges of the 21st century. By training, I am an engineer and an MBA. So partly, I guess, it's my professional training that makes me think like this. But it's also my experience that unless we, Shoaib Saab, I'm particularly addressing you because you're so influential in the thinking of all of us, that unless we bring in two more elements to community-driven development, and that they're not missing right now, but they need to be enhanced. One is entrepreneurship and the other is technology. Already we've seen the impact of some completely world-changing technologies like mobile telephony. It is one technology which has worked across cultures, across political systems, across religions, across geographies, and it's daily transforming lives, whether it is something as simple as people getting to know where their near and dear ones are, being able to transfer money, and so many other things. But mobile telephony is only one of the gifts that the 20th century has left for us in terms of technological prowess. And while technology has caused many negatives as well, and the Paris conference is a great example of what some of the ills of technology have caused, but there are many, many positives which are still not harvested for the benefit of the poor. One of them is in the field of energy. There is, with solar energy generation costs now falling below $1 per peak watt, there is absolutely no reason why any household in the world should be without energy. There is no reason, no economic reason left anymore. The rest of the reasons are technological, institutional, or just inertia. Similarly, certain medical technologies, particularly immunization, which requires maintenance of cold chains, while they've spread dramatically compared to the low 20s and 30s, they're still stuck at 80-90%. We need to move to a world where there is 100% immunization. And finally, technology is, there are several other examples, but technology will not work again if it is imposed top-down. And it therefore needs to be absorbed through entrepreneurship into the communities. And when I say entrepreneurship, I'm not talking about large industrialists invading these communities. I'm not talking about special economic zones in remote areas, creating enclaves of prosperity in the middle of poverty. I'm talking about micro entrepreneurs. I'm talking about micro franchisees who have relationships with large corporations but are not employees, and who get the benefit of the supply chain, the technology, and the brand. It's only when we graft these two additional elements of entrepreneurship and technology that I think we will continue to derive the benefits of community-driven development for the next 50 years that we need to eradicate poverty completely. Thank you very much.